Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 185 in the book of Genesis. Today we're going to talk about the best piece of real estate in all of history. We're going to go to 2 Samuel chapter 7 here today, so turn there if you want. Our official passage is in Genesis. We're working through the book of Genesis. We're almost done. Jacob is blessing his children, and one of his children is Judah. And he says a very interesting thing about the blessing to Judah. The scepter, the ruling staff, shall not depart from Judah. The ruler's staff from between his feet. So he's basically saying, Judah, you're going to rule the universe forever. So how does that happen? So the point there is that someone from his house, someone from his lineage is going to rule forever. The scepter's never going to depart. The answer eventually is going to be Jesus. So Jesus, for some reason, chooses to embed himself in our genealogy, in history, in a real humanity, in a real family, and in this nation. But we didn't always know that. So today I want to get on how did we get to understand it? Well, it started here with this promise to Judah, also to the promise of Abraham, his grandfather. So one of the big reveals about this situation is going to go to David, and that's what I want to look at today. So how do we help our understanding of this concept of permanent lordship? Well, I think it's best done by telling the story of of a particular day when God told David about it. So here it is from 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse number 1. Now, when King David lived in his house, and the Lord had given him rest from all the surrounding enemies, the king said to Nathan, it's kind of his right-hand prophet man, see now this is David talking, I dwell in a house of cedar, but the ark of God dwells in a tent. And Nathan said to the king, do all that's in your heart, for the Lord is with you. So let me pause there. So David feels this great injustice of he himself is living in this swanky cedar house, but God is living in a tent, and he's lived in a tent for hundreds of years. So in the Old Testament, God had this localized, specific, tangible, and often portable place of his holy presence. So let's go back to the verse 4. But that same night, the word of the Lord came to Nathan. Go and tell my servant David, thus says the Lord, would you build me a house to dwell in? I have not lived in a house since the day I brought up the people of Israel from Egypt until this day. But I have been moving about in a tent for my dwelling. In all places where I have moved with the people of Israel, did I speak a word with any of the judges of Israel whom I commanded to shepherd my people Israel, saying, why have you not built me a house of cedar? Now, therefore, thus you shall say to my servant David. So here it is. Here's the promise that the Lord is making to David. Pay attention. Now, therefore, thus you shall say to my servant David, thus is the Lord of hosts, I took you from the pasture, from the following sheep, that you should be a prince over my people, and I have been with you wherever you went, and I have cut off all your enemies before you, and I will make for you a great name, like the name of my great ones on the earth. And I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them so that they may dwell in their own place and be disturbed no more. And violent men shall afflict them no more as formerly, from the time I appointed judges over my people Israel. And I will give you rest from your enemies. Moreover, the Lord declares to you that the Lord will make you a house. The Lord's going to make David a house. When your days are fulfilled and you lie down with your fathers, I will raise up your offspring after you, who shall come from your body, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. That's the prophecy about Jesus. So David says, very sweetly, I think, I want to build God a house. I want to build God a physical house better than my house, which is made out of cedar. It's a very sweet demonstration of what's going on in his heart. And in response, God says to David, no, I'm going to build you a house. So the house isn't a physical house made out of cedar. The Lord says, David, I'm going to make you a house or a heritage or a kingdom. It's a ruling throne, a seat of power that you're never, ever, ever going to be unoccupied from. I'm going to give you someone, capital S, someone who will occupy the throne of David forever. That's Jesus. So let's think just practically. What if God built a physical house? Well, I'm sure it'd be fantastic, and jewels and gold and all kinds of great stuff. But God is saying here, what if God built a dynastic house of power, of ruling, of justice, of unimpeachable character, unassailable protection for those that are in that house? So that's the house that God promises David. So let's for a second look jealously at David. And we say, oh, I want God to speak through a prophet to me like he did through Nathan in this story. I want God to speak the sweet news of a kingdom to me. Well, here's the thing. In a sense, this promise is not for you. It's for David. It's for David and his people. But this promise can be for you if you are adopted into his family, grafted in like a plant, is another way of saying it. So this promise can be true for you and me. What promise? Well, that we have a king that rules today. We get all the benefits. We get adopted into it. We get the smiting of evil principalities that stands against him and against us. We get permanence. We get this sure office. We get this rich inheritance of stuff way beyond our pay grade. So as we wrap this up, I ask, do you live on shaky ground? You dwell on shaky ground. If so, the Lord can build you a house like he did David. Maybe you're one who's just spit upon God and you stumbled on this little YouTube video. I'm here to tell you the Lord can build you a house. So when you hear the story of David, and before that Judah, and before that Abraham, and you hear of this permanent throne, this sure house that he gives you, this is the best piece of real estate, best piece of spiritual real estate ever. And it's going to last forever. So this kingdom, this throne, this house, how do I get a piece of this? Well, you can if you tell God today, I do want a piece of it. I want to live there. I want to come under its authority. I want to be grafted in. Now, you can't buy this. You can't conquer. You can't earn it. How do you get there? How do you get a piece of this best real estate? You have to be adopted. How do you get adopted? Just ask. Tell God today. He'll be happy to hear from you. Thanks for listening.